Welcome to another episode of Transform Perspective with Cara. Yes, once again, I did bring my tea, okay, and I brought in my cup. I love this cup. It's from Target. It's from Target. I think I got it for what is it? I'm gonna read the price. Maybe like $7 or maybe less because sometimes they have sales, but get you a nice mug, whether you drink coffee or tea or whatever you want to pour in it. And today we're drinking chamomile, okay? Chamomile, something just to feel a little bit more soothing and calm. I know typically you drink chamomile when you're trying to wind down and go to bed. Not necessarily trying to do that, but I do have my pajamas and chamomile tea. So that's kind of the vibe we're going for today. I hope your day is going amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I just want to say before I get into everything, please don't forget to subscribe to Transform Perspective on YouTube, follow on Spotify, as well as TikTok. I truly am grateful for your love and your support. So just don't forget to do that. And yeah, today's topic and things that I wanted to discuss is the power of acceptance. Acceptance is something that I've really been working with and learning to do, being able to know the difference between what's in your control and not in your control. So that's what we're getting into today, the power of acceptance. I think when you're looking at acceptance, sometimes it could be, it could feel very far-fetched and really difficult to do, especially when people are just like, accept it. Accept that that's the case, or like let it go and let it be. Sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult, or we make it more difficult than it has to be. But really when it comes to acceptance, and learning what's in your control and what's not in your control, it's something that you have to learn for yourself and learn to do in your own time. Of course, we can have help and we can have advice from other people, but when it comes to acceptance, whatever that is within yourself or in your life, it's a part of your journey of learning who you are and growing and learning to do what is best for you. Your acceptance and how you accept something is probably going to look different from other people. Some people may be able to let things go very easily or move forward or be able to just be present a lot more easier in your eyes than you can. But that's okay. I think we all have different areas of our life and within ourselves that we're learning to accept, that we're learning about, that we are healing, and that may look different for other people. It may be very easy for them to heal or move forward from things, whereas for you, and it may take a while. You may have to go through some cycles and some things and learning some lessons that maybe other people don't have to, and that's okay because our journeys are unique. Us being here in our lives are very different from each other, but also very similar. So acceptance is going to look different for you in comparison to everybody else. So you just got to accept that. But yeah, anyways, I was going to go into gratitude, the power of gratitude, but I realized that I did speak on this in the very last episode of season 1. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. I talk about the power of gratitude. I don't know if that was necessarily the title, but I go deep into gratitude. So today I was like, what about acceptance? Let's talk about acceptance. And that is really key to life, in my opinion. One of the keys, there's many keys and things that can be helpful for this human experience, and that's just being here on this planet. Acceptance is one of those things, and it's something that I'm continuously learning in my own way what that even means. But for me, acceptance is just being okay with what is, being okay with who you are, being okay with your circumstances and situations. And it takes a lot of courage to say, okay, it is what it is. When I think acceptance, I think of the statement, it is what it is. And so it is like that, that's it. And so when we're looking at what's in your control versus what's not in your control, I think reminding yourself of that statement, of that reminder of it is what it is, can really help you discern the difference between when to step up and take action, when to do something out of your free will, out of your control, and when you have to just kind of like step back and just let it be what it is. I think learning that definitely takes time. And it takes practice and it takes life experience to know that. Of course, we can try to help one another, which is amazing. But sometimes we do, if not just sometimes, all the time, we have to experience life for ourselves to know the difference of what's in control, what's in our control, and what's not. Because a lot of times we think we may know that and we lose sight of it. Like when you're stuck in your mind and you're constantly worrying about something that there's just, you've done everything you can do. Okay. And then it gets to a point where it's just like, there's all you have to do is just be where you are and just let it be handled. If you know that you have tried your best in whatever situation it is, I'm trying to think of an example. It could be anything. Let's say you are at a competition or something, and it's for sports or dance or art competition, and like you've it's really scary for you to enter into this competition and put your artwork up there, or do a routine or whatever it is, just using it as an example. It takes a lot of courage to step out of our comfort zone and do something new. So for example, if you are in a competition or entering into something that's really big, you work up the courage to do it, and you're going back and forth, and what's in your control is that you show up, you create something, you try. So let's say you do have an art piece. You spent all your time and attention and your care and your creativity on this piece. You show up, you enter into this competition. That's what's in your control. You showing up, you trying your best, you doing what you can do on your end. As far as whether you win that competition or whether you get a prize or whether people like it or not, that is not in your control. What's in your control is what you created and brought to the table. A lot of things we don't have control over. And then there's things that we do. And so just like an example in that, with the competition thing, you create something, you show up, you enter the competition. That's all you can do in an example like that, So a lot of times we can show up, we can do our best, but then after that, we have to let the rest be what it is, because you can only do so much. And so just learning to be at peace and accept the fact that you've done all that you can do. Now, whether it turns out how you want it to be, or whether you put in work and time and effort and love and care into people or things or circumstances, situations, whether that gets returned to you or not, that's not in your control. I think it's really important to not only accept it, but be open to the possibilities, be open to whatever is going to happen. It sounds a lot easier than it is, but it can be easy too. I think that's just a matter of perspective. But when it comes to acceptance, I don't know if that was the best example, but hopefully you get what I mean. You can apply this to something in your life, if you have an example. And so that's just kind of what I'm practicing is, learning the difference between, what's in my control and what's not. And I think that is definitely key to acceptance. And acceptance can be powerful because it determines whether you're going to have a peace of mind or you're going to drive yourself nuts. Sometimes we have to drive ourselves nuts in order to learn the difference. And so if you are struggling with that, if you're struggling with acceptance, if you're struggling with forgiveness and just letting things be as they are, accepting you as you are, accepting other people, the situations that you're in. Sometimes we don't like where we are in life, or who we are, what other people are, and we are constantly trying to fix and alter things the way that our mind or the ego says it should be. But what if you just accept it for what it is and let it be what it is, even if it's uncomfortable? Sometimes it's very uncomfortable to realize that you really don't have all the control that you kind of thought you did. It can be scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what things are going to look like. But who said that you had to know? Who said you had to know what it looked like? Who said you had to have the answers? And I think that's what can get us caught up, is feeling like things have to be a certain way. We have to be a certain way. And it, goes along with this judgment of ourselves, of other people, of the world. It is human and it is okay for it to be there. Because like I said, sometimes you have to go through that turmoil and the, messiness to realize, okay, Acceptance is an option. Stepping back and letting things just be what they are is an option. But just living life and being okay with however it goes is an option. Even if you're not okay with it, it's just like it is what it is. I think acceptance goes beyond just whether it feels good or bad or looks good or bad. It is. Now, that doesn't mean that you just let everything slide or that you're naive or that you don't take action or do anything in your life or for other people or for yourself. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you just sit back and you're just like, it is what it is and it ain't got nothing to do with me. I know a lot of people do that where it's just like they see that there's an issue and maybe it doesn't involve them, but there's something they can do. They can take action. They can help. They can use, you know, their will, their power, their creativity to make a change. But because it doesn't involve them, they're like, oh, you got nothing to do with me. Or, we can kind of sit back and be bystanders when that's not exactly what acceptance is at all. There's a difference between acceptance and just not doing anything or not caring. Life teaches you that too. We may have moments where we are that person where we're just like, oh, I don't care, or it doesn't have anything to do with me, or I just won't do nothing at all. And then we may have times where we're in this space where we are just constantly trying to fix and change ourselves and other people and life. And so it's just like this super far negative and this super far positive. And it all comes back to the theme of the season, and just what we're focusing on is balance, inner balance within yourself, to learn the difference between when you're in this space of constantly trying and forcing and fixing and, it's not going how I'm imagine in my head. Like, you created this image. This is how things are supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to be. This is how other people are supposed to be. And then when it's not that, it's like, what's going on? And so when you're in that space of constantly trying to make it fit what you imagine in your head versus, I don't care, two hands off, not taking action, not caring. It doesn't have anything to do with me, or who cares? I tried, it didn't work. It's just this, like I said, super positive versus super negative. And learning when you're in both of those spaces and trying to find what works best in the middle, meet yourself in the middle, meet other people in the middle, meet life in the middle. I feel like that's where you can find that balance, when you can see the times, the moments, the lessons that you've learned in life where you've been super on this side, super on that side, and you find, okay, well, what works? Because I know how I am when I am forcing stuff, when I am, trying to make things go my way and it's not working and it's irritating. I also know when I just totally give up and don't care. How can I find the middle point or space here? How can I find that balance between those two? And I think that balance is acceptance, which, like I said, it takes time. It's something that you learn as you go, and as you grow, you realize more and more that some things are in your control, and then some things aren't. And you learn to work with that. But it's going to look different because, like I said, what you've experienced in life, what you've gone through, what you've learned about yourself could be different from the next person. So we can give advice. You can listen to me. We can learn from each other. But you also just have to take the time to just kind of reflect on what you've learned and, when you've been in those different head spaces, and then find what, I don't want to say what necessarily feels best, but because it doesn't always feel good, it's going to make you uncomfortable sometimes to shed old patterns and old beliefs and old habits. But what kind of resonates and it just clicks, you have to find what clicks and what feels like balance for you. And I feel like once you get to that place, there's full acceptance or surrender, allowing things to be as they are, taking action when you feel the need to, or you feel that it's best from a place of balance, from a place of being grounded, and then stepping back when it's out of your control. And you can tell the difference between when you're doing it from a place of love or authenticity or truth or, what's best for you or in your life and other people versus ego. When you're doing it out of ego, it kind of sounds like what I was saying before. Oh, it ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't care. Okay, I give up then, Or, another way, like I said, with ego is, you're forcing and, it has to be this way and has to be that way. And so I think you can tell the difference between when you are in this place of balance and acceptance from your heart, from truth, from authenticity versus the ego. And so there's many different ways that you can practice that. Like I always say, writing your thoughts down, reflecting on, your journey, your life, the things that you've been through, being able to have reminders and check in with yourself and, clock it when you're kind of in, a lot of, what am I trying to say? When you're being in a, very egoic and your mind is taken over. Not that the mind is some horrible thing. It's a beautiful thing. We just only utilize like 1% of it. So, and that can turn into a mess. Not that it's actually 1%. Don't check me on it. I'm just being sarcastic, but, checking in with yourself and saying, okay, am I acting out of ego and fear and shame and guilt and doubt? Or am I acting out of authenticity? Am I acting out of truth? Am I acting out of like openness and love? Where is this coming from? Only you can determine that because you know yourself. And if you take the time to sit with yourself or just pay attention to your thoughts and how you're showing up in your life, what actions you're taking, how you're treating other people, how you're treating yourself, you can start to learn the difference between the ego and between you actually being grounded or in a place of balance or in a place of acceptance. Like I said, like anything, it takes practice. So it's not something that's necessarily going to be done overnight. For some people, it can come very easily. For others, not so much. But I definitely think the power of acceptance is, very important to reflect on, think about, and incorporate in your life. And ultimately, I feel like it just leads to more peace. More peace. And sometimes peace can be boring. We ask for peace and then we're like, well, this is really boring. Well, sometimes we need that serene, that boringness, that calm mind. Because I think we can adapt and get so used to worrying, stress, being all over the place. Like I said, it's human, we do it, but we can get so used to it. So when we get to a place where we actually can accept and have some type of peace, it feels foreign. It feels a little scary because you're so used to, hecticness, if that's even a word. But yeah, definitely take the time to try to practice acceptance. Look at different areas of your life or different parts of yourself that you maybe avoid or struggle with accepting and just saying it is what it is. Look at some of your habits and just find ways that you can practice accepting. Find ways that you can know the difference between being in your ego and kind of being in your truth and in your heart. And I think a great place to start, like I said, is with looking at what's in your control and, recognizing what's not. Being able to know the difference. I think starting there, you can either write this down, say it out loud, but just look at these aspects of yourself and these different things in your life that maybe seem so out of control. Have you done your best? Have you tried everything you could? If so, you can say it is what it is and just be open to, getting some help with it, whether that be from other people, whether that be just internally, just whatever works for you. So looking at that, focusing on what's in my control, what's not. If it's not in your control, it is what it is. If it is, what can you do to take steps to take action or do something different or, bring more attention and focus to whatever that thing is. So yes, the power of acceptance. That's all I really got to say about acceptance. It's something that I'm still learning. Many things that I discuss or talk about is things that I'm still discovering and learning for myself. So it's not that I'm some, guru or anything and know everything. I just like to discuss these things, to talk about it. And to see really what comes up and share what I have to say and hear what you think in your experience. So with that being said, feel free to share in the comments what you think about acceptance, the power of acceptance, what you're learning to accept or forgive, whether within yourself, in your life, with other people, situations. Feel free to let me know. You can email me or you can leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe to YouTube, follow on Spotify, on TikTok as well. Subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to share it too. If there's anyone that you think would benefit from this, maybe they need some help with acceptance. Don't forget that there's a free 15-minute guided meditation for deep relaxation in the description below as well. Don't forget about that meditation. It's free. All you have to do is give me your email and I will not flood your inbox, but I will keep you updated on the latest things and contents and videos and stuff coming up for Transform Perspective. And speaking of that, if you haven't already, watch my big announcement video. Okay. It's a journal launch. I'm just going to go ahead and say that, but I give more detail about what product I'm making, what I'm launching, so on and so forth. And as I go along, I will be sharing more updates about this launch. So definitely check that video out if you haven't already. Stay updated for not only just these episodes, but also for, like I said, for the launch and some of the new things that I've been creating and working on, So yes, thank you so much for tuning in to Transform Perspective. I hope you enjoyed this episode and it wasn't all over the place. Remember, it is not about perfection, but committing to expansion. Have a transformed perspective.